everyone. I call the September 10th, 2025 Bremerton City Council study session order. Study sessions are always open for the public to attend in person, or you may choose to listen in and view remotely. A reminder that tonight's agenda was amended to add an executive session under item C1. We will be taking public comment following the executive session, and action is anticipated. For the remaining items, the content of the agenda bills is subject to change, and no public comments will be taken at this time, and no action is anticipated. Any of the items approved for council by action for action by council tonight will be placed on September 17th City Council meeting agenda, or as otherwise determined. Finally, an ongoing reminder that questions or comments by the public may be submitted on any item at any time by email to city.council@bremertonwa.gov. And Zoom recordings of study sessions will also be available online within a few days following the meeting. With all that housekeeping done, we'll turn to item A1, which is the purchase of a Ford F-750 truck. I think that's probably the biggest truck we've ever purchased. I remember 350s and 550s, but not 750s, with a hook lift system and snowplow. Here to present is Internal Services Manager Matt Donleycott. Mr. Donleycott, the floor is yours.
All right, good evening. I only made one. So I'm here to present the purchase of a new Ford F-750 truck for our streets division. This vehicle was originally budgeted in 2022 as a 5-yard dump truck, but due to supply issues, rising costs, and a recent cancellation, that order was never fulfilled. So talked with Ron Moore, operations manager, and Tom Nucky, director at the time, kind of evaluated our current needs and decided to pivot to this Ford F-750. So the Ford F-750 will be equipped with a hook lift system, and just to describe that really quick, it's like what Waste Management uses, kind of roll-off type system. Our 550s have this similar, obviously smaller, and also it'll come with a snowplow. The hook lift system will make this truck very versatile. And it'll give us lots of options. One of those options is that picture I passed around is a 3-yard concrete mixer. With the rising cost of concrete, reliability issues, and prevailing wage requirements, this is going to make our streets more efficient and actually will save us money. Just to name a few of the other attachments or roll-off equipment that we could purchase, we could do a dumpster, chipper box, a dump bed up to a 5-yard capacity, so it's like a 5-yard dump truck, de-icer water tank, or a flatbed. So the total cost of this truck with the hook lift system and snowplow is $160,362.41. The original budget in 2022, which has been carried forward year to year, was $233,000. So we're well under budget. No additional funds are needed, and this order would take the place of that 5-yard dump truck. So that order would go away. So we're not looking to get a dump truck as well. I'm available to answer any questions.
And it came through.
Through Public Works.
Yeah. First, I'm really glad you found this vehicle, especially with the option for the 3-yard concrete mixer, because I know a lot of times our crews are sitting out there for hours waiting for concrete that either never gets delivered or gets delivered so late or on overtime. So I think this is a really good, versatile piece of equipment, and I'm glad you found it.
Really good pivot. Really good pivot.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sure.
I said the only absolutely great find, just packet housekeeping wise. I think we had one person write in asking about the carryover from 2022. I think there was a response just to have that in the packet. The funds were carried over several years up.
Okay.
Yeah, there was an email from Director Riley.
Yeah.
So.
How do we treat this item, Council?
Consent.
Consent.
Okay. Consent it is. Thank you. Next up, item A2, renewal of professional service agreement with Imperial Parking Incorporated for parking enforcement and management services. With us tonight is our contract administrator, Ms. Melinda Monroe.
Sent a 5-year renewal of our parking enforcement and management services. This includes a 0.74% reduction for the longer term and clarification on the random restricted enforcement areas and on-call enforcement. Those are in all zones, and they always have been in practice. And we have just minor clarifications throughout the agreement. There are not any other major changes. I think those are the highlights. Any questions?
So my question was, this was before us before, I got pulled, council members had. So let's hear feedback. maybe from
Yeah,
the
so I
council
went through,
members.
finance committee with the full contract for the first time, so that was good. There was a nice set of written responses, both to my initial questions and Anna's, which I think didn't get to the city council email originally. I just saw it earlier today and forwarded it, so I don't know if it's worked its way in the packet yet, but I wanted to make sure those were in the packet.
Okay,
And then I think I brought the brief last time, when we kind of delved into a lot of other parking issues, making sure that the contract was flexible enough to cover any future change in operations and hours and time. Mostly, I don't think we were talking about the areas patrolled, but we clarified which areas are patrolled and how often and why.
Yes, yeah. And some of those answers, I found them in the packet, so I think some of those
Oh, good.
answers.
Yeah, the
talk about
emails
that.
are in the packet.
Okay.
I think it talks about that. I had one little update to that just on that note, I can find it. Or I realized I left out a word. I think it was question 4. Our on-call response is in all zones Monday through Friday. And then on weekends, our response is typically on Monday. So if there are new requests that come in Saturday or Sunday, those responses are not likely to happen unless they come in by phone until Monday. So we don't have an on-call response available for weekends, but they are out there responding to them, usually just following up from Friday. So.
And there was the one change that clarified in the contract, random enforcement is done on Sundays and downtown core and other places. I know we had residential before.
That's right.
Cool.
Yep. And I just made sure that is correct in council packet Monday through Sunday, all zones. Monday through Sunday, all zones. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
other questions or concerns?
I just have a general question. Thanks for, you did great job clarifying everything, and it's really a complete packet. I'm just curious, is there a schedule, like, is it every 10 years that it goes out to everybody who wants to be an in-park type contractor?
So they're really, I mean, with most, I can't think of franchises would be the only agreements where it's regulated, but there really is not a limit on that. So if we are happy, we do not have to do that at any time. Not to say that that's, the market is really gonna, support that, but, I'd say that business running cycles, I'd say in the last 5 or 6 years, we've been lucky in that we've had the steady enforcement from a really large provider. And they've been able to weather storms that other entities have not been able to.
Okay.
So that's been good for us. But there's no requirement. It's really at our.
Okay. All right, thank you.
How do we treat this item?
Consent.
I was thinking in general, don't want to talk it out though.
Because of parking.
It's a 5-year contract. It's parking. There's always, hot button. But I think it's also a chance to explain to the public how the enforcement occurs.
So if you do that, are we, Ms. Monroe, to do a presentation, or are we just gonna have question and answers from the council?
I think a presentation would be good. I think that's what I'm leaning towards. Being able to recap this operate, is how the funds come in and out and how they're used.
It's online.
Hang on.
I agree.
Oh, Jennifer.
Oh, that's Jennifer's
That's
voice.
Jennifer, yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Jennifer. I'm sorry. Okay, now you have your hand up, Jennifer. So do you have any other comments? I'll
Just
start.
gonna say I agree. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. And please, you know how this works. It's tough for me to look at, so just yell out anytime during the meeting.
You bet.
As appropriate.
Oh, okay, as appropriate. Thank you. Okay, so whatever council wants.
Yeah, I'm good with a brief summary presentation. It actually just allows people to comment on it in a dedicated thing instead of being mixed into general business or even mixed into the consent. We could make it clear too, or be able to start them. A lot of the other suggested parking changes that bubbled up from community, just to say that's still on the table to be discussed. This contract allows for this is just a contract tonight, but it is a good place for people to say, hey, I would like to see this in the
People care
future.
about
Yeah.
parking,
Oh, yeah,
Even when they don't.
I care about it. It's, for sure.
Okay, so sorry about that.
Okay.
All right.
These are great.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you like that. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
really great, and I think that should be part of your
Okay.
presentation, because I think a lot of people don't realize where they go.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Happy to.
I'm talking about
The map on this. Yeah.
the vehicle mapping.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Next up is item A3, conservation grant agreement with Puget Sound Energy for LED retrofit phase 6. Welcoming Public Works Operation Manager, Mr. Ron Moore. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening. I'm bringing forward a grant for $2,202 for the LED conversion in phase 6. The bill that we received for those 89 fixtures was $2,331.26 from PSE. So the cost of the city is $129.26. We do have that budgeted in the current budget under that LED conversion.
Easy peasy lemon squeeze.
I couldn't get light bulbs that cheap at Home Depot. All right, questions? Thank you, sir. Consent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next item up is item A4, contract modification agreement number 7 with Parametrix Incorporated for engineering services for the Kitsap Lake Park Renovation Project. Tonight is our Recreation Director, Mr. Tim Barker. Okay.
See what happens.
Floor is yours, sir, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Yeah, I have some slides, but I also printed off some handouts for you.
Okay.
I was like giving you something to take home.
I say that everything.
Wow. You got it.
Okay, so I am here to speak with you about a change order related to work Parametrix has been doing over the last, well, shoot, I think it's probably been 3 years now since we started the Kitsap Lake Park project. And so this is a change order 7. Tried to kind of spell it out as much as possible, and I've got some pictures as well to give you a good idea of what it is that we're looking at doing. There's 2 separate items within the Parametrix agreement that we're addressing within change order 7. One of those is a redesign issue that we've had with the stormwater, movement of stormwater on the site, which I'll get into a little bit more. And the other one is when we approved the project, we had a separate line item for irrigation design. And so we're essentially wanting to award the irrigation design work to Parametrix. The individual that we're working with is very familiar with irrigation, and we kind of feel that assigning it to Parametrix and it's under an amount that we would have to go out for bid for will help us speed up that process of getting the project in place. And just with their familiarity with Kitsap Lake Park as well. So the change order that we are looking at within change order 7 is approximately $20,000 total. It's not increasing the overall project budget at all. That was approved through city council for the 1.6 million. But like I said, addresses, we think this is a great solution that we're looking at to address the stormwater issue within that site. So let me just kind of walk through a couple of the pictures here. This just kind of gives you the preliminary concept plan, what we were looking at. Obviously up on the upper right, the NIC items are ones that aren't within this current contract period. So those will be basically a phase 2 or beyond that. So like playground will be coming in. As we've discussed previously, Department of Commerce provided additional funding, which we will be utilizing that to finish off the site as part of the phase 2. But really addressing irrigation, getting hydroseeding at the site, and then initial amenities like the shelter, new accessible picnic tables, really addressing a lot of accessibility issues and the parking lot area. So this blue area is really where the stormwater management is the biggest concern and what we've been working on, and that's the asphalt area within the park. So if you look at the bottom section coming off of the roadway, the elevation change there from that driveway into what would be the kind of upper left corner, where the stormwater vault is located, is about 15 feet different in elevation. And this isn't a real big parking lot either. So there's a lot of movement of stormwater that has to occur at this site. And so that's been a lot of challenge. You can kind of see my cursor here. So we do, if you haven't been out there, we have a small berm right here that's pulling the water from this portion of the parking lot down and across, and everything flows down to this corner where the vault's located on the opposite side of the boat launch area. Issue that we're running into right now is no matter what design we've gone with in front of the parking areas here and the boat launch, is all of the water on this side has been coming into where the sidewalk is and releasing in this point. And that's really not where we want it. But because of the amount of water that comes down, depending on the size of the rainfall, that's where it's ending up. So this will help fix that. Other issues we ran into initially with the design. So again, 15-foot elevation difference, but really between where that sidewalk is, between where this sidewalk is and where the vault is located, we're talking like maybe 5-inch difference, 6-inch difference. And so in the design and in the construction, we were hoping that it was, everything would end up where there was very minimal room for error in the design work. And what we found, it's good we did more of a winter construction, and so we had spring waters that came in, and so we had puddles that were created. And so we went to a secondary design option, which is shown here, where we essentially, where the arrows are at is where we cut out, and then we essentially kind of created a little valley that runs through there. So that solved all the stormwater issues. But what we're running into with this design is, if someone isn't familiar with the boat launch area, and if they don't have their prop up, the blade from their motors hitting on the back end, or if they have the hitch that sits lower, their hitch is catching. So that's where you see those scrapes have occurred. Someone that utilizes the site more often is coming at an angle and doesn't seem to have an issue at all.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been looking at as part of the gutter concern that we have and issues that are being caused there. We still have the issue over by the sidewalk that is not necessarily resolved. So what we're looking at as far as the preferred design on this portion of the project would be to essentially create a channel that goes all the way over. So we're talking kind of like a set-in metal grate channel that would go from where the sidewalk is all the way across. It would look very intentional. as opposed to numerous fixes that just doesn't look right. And then it heads over to the vault and releases in the vault. And we believe that unless it's a more of a 30 to 50-year storm, this should easily take care of the concern that we have. And since the project's still active and we have the funding available, we'd rather take care of it now and then instead of later. And so that would also include us rebuilding this portion so it would be more of a level surface and it would be more accessible as well. Right now, that gutter isn't necessarily to an accessible grade the way it was designed.
Did you say there is existing drainage at the end of the parking spaces? Or is that?
Everything drains over
I
to
guess
that box on the
So those
left.
parking spaces right there?
Yep.
Are there drains at the back? Oh, I thought.
There's
okay.
nothing there right now. It's just the
So
gutter.
it all moves on the surface. Okay.
Yeah, everything moves over to this vault that's
And-
located over here.
On the surface for the drains, you're looking at having that the entire length, that entire
Mhm.
red.
Yep.
And you think that's necessary, that extent?
Yeah, and that's where I was mentioning the runoff from the other side was collecting at this sidewalk piece and just releasing into the landscape area, which is near a building, and I prefer to pull it away.
It's very intentional, and I like just the way that it's like it's a barrier between stormwater and the lake. Water is gonna go that direction, it's gonna hopefully, get in there unless it's a.
And getting it to the eventual outlet that it needed to go
Yeah,
to in the
yeah.
vault area.
Looks good.
You talked about accessibility in a previous slide.
Mhm.
And I'm sure I'm just gonna go ahead and ask though,
Sure.
that the proposed design doesn't affect accessibility at all.
No, it would improve it.
Oh,
Yeah.
great,
Yep,
great.
for sure. And then just briefly on the irrigation piece, everything in red is what we're planning to irrigate. So we bring in a brand new irrigation system. The bottom left corner, you'll see an island there that's in red. We just recently decided to pull that out. So we will have, we have a sleeve that goes under there. And so we'll have essentially a quick coupler there, but it won't be irrigated because our other island within the parking area is not irrigated as well either. And then as you're entering the site from the bottom there, you'll see the bottom left side doesn't show irrigation. It's because of the slope that we have there. We can't take mowers or anything in there, so it's not irrigated at this time. It is identified in a future phase if we did want to look at rebuilding that section.
Tree for blackberry.
There you go. Yeah, so the proposed modification would increase Parametrix amounts by 20,735 up to 256. As noted, this is change order 7, so we've had a number of small change orders here and there that have been approved and gone through the process. A lot of those are just added items that we've worked with Parametrix to take on throughout the process. Nothing, necessarily earth-shattering, but just little pieces that have been added on to their original contract throughout the process.
Okay, any additional questions? Jane?
So in this area here where the sidewalk was it intended to have curb or was it intended to be flush? I can't tell from the original plan.
Right. It was intended to have some curb there to keep the water down.
Okay. And then, so we have the same company who originally designed it doing the change order. And I think you also have another contractor that's supposed to be overseeing things for you.
So, yeah, well, we have Red Side who was in charge of the construction, then we have Art Anderson who was essentially the owner representative of the project.
Okay. So as the owner's rep, was it their responsibility to look at the plans before they went out
It
to
was
bid
to
to make
review
sure
and
they
we,
were gonna
yeah, and
work?
we knew it was gonna be tight just because of the amount of space that we had. And that time, at that point, the project, and looking at the cost, differences, the decision at that time was to go with the original design, hoping that that would, solve the issue.
So then I'm guessing there's gonna be a change order number 8 to actually do this work.
That would be on red side of things. And we talked, this, I alluded to that at the PFET meeting. So that'll be something that will be forthcoming to council, once we negotiate and figure out what route we want to go. Red side has reached out and received a couple different bids on the works, and so we're negotiating with them right now.
Okay.
On what that'll look like.
But we're hopeful that it stays within the budget that we have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Preliminary numbers show that it stays within the budget that we have.
Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you.
The only thing, we talked about this in PFIP, the only thing I just noticed was, sorry if I missed it, construction complete October 1st of this year. Still,
That was their anticipated, or the initial kind of thought, you're looking at their proposal.
yeah,
essentially.
exhibit
Scope
B
of work.
schedule, okay.
Yeah.
So that's not contractual?
No,
Okay, special scope,
yeah, that was just kind of their initial
okay.
thought.
So we don't have a firm date from that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, voting season's almost over, right? So.
Yeah.
Be okay. We're getting a great park. We're getting a great park.
Mhm.
And just to add, through conversations, I think I did note it in the slide. We had users involved, contractors, city staff. I'll be presenting and talking to the Kitsap Lake neighborhood group next week to provide them an update, so everybody's aware of what we've been getting supported.
Well, there were, as you're aware, there's some complaints on Kitsap waterfront owners about the parking and the pool of water and all that stuff. So they'll be happy to see the city has got fixed. Yeah. All right. How do we treat this item?
Consent.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Barker. Next item up is item A5, resolution to modify parking on a portion of Almira Avenue from head-in to back-in angle parking. With us tonight is engineering project manager, Mr. Nick Ataie. Nick?
Council, and I want to thank Tim because my computer decided to update in the last 2 minutes.
Hate it when that happens.
I didn't know the right time.
All right, perfect. Okay, so this is a resolution to modify parking on Almira. This is associated with the View Ridge Safe Routes to School project. This was presented to the Public Works Committee on August 18th. So we have a existing head-in parking area on Almira Drive, about 200 feet north of Sylvan Way, that is currently non-conforming. It's been there for a while. And as part of the design process, we evaluated how to reinstate that parking. We looked at several different options. Obviously, this is a multi-month project, so we're trying to maximize use of the limited right-of-way that we have available. We did a study with the different types of parking options and ultimately decided that back-end angle parking was the safest, most best use of space with that parking configuration as it relates to the improvements that we're making on Almira. This parking configuration was presented to the public in May of last year at open house. This is just kind of a graphic showing what that looks like. You can see on the bottom of the screen the shared use path that's going to be running on the east side of Almira. There's the back and angle parking, also providing a accessible parking space and motorcycle parking. So why am I here? Oddly enough, the BMC and the WAC both require council approves a resolution for any angled parking on city streets. So that's why we're here. And with the project kind of ramping up for construction next year, we wanted to kind of get this resolution passed so we can keep everything moving forward. with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Jane?
So I have a question. So this parking in the public right of way is serving private property, right? So if there's a change in use to the adjacent residential unit, I mean, it's not theirs forever. That's what I'm asking.
So it's not a private parking, not designated as parking just for the Viewcrest apartments.
Mhm.
It is used by the apartments. The apartments do have separate service lots. There's also, as part of the project, we're carving out some parallel parking where the right of way will allow. So essentially, we're maximizing, to the extent feasible within the right of way, maintaining as much street parking as possible.
So, remind me again, is the shared use path on the same side as this back in angle parking?
Correct.
Well, hopefully. I mean, it's,
If you want, I can
I just
pull
wanna-
the exhibit back up.
I just want to make sure that there's plenty of safety features in there especially for the kids that'll be using that shared use path a lot.
Yeah, so see my cursor here. So there's actually there's going to be a little buffer between the parking area and the path.
Okay.
Obviously, for shared use path, we have to have some amount of shoulder on the path for bicyclists. So there's going to be a buffer there, and then you can kind of see on the back end here. I mean, you can see how close our path is to the right of way. And we are right there. We're having to get some temporary easements from the apartments to be able to kind of blend that in. There's several, things that are, complicating it more. We've got mailboxes, we've got lead walks, things back here. So really confined space. And again, the back end angle parking was, focused on safety aspect, having people enter to the back towards the street. It's going to be similar to what we have on Lebo across from the Parks building.
Yeah, I agree. It's much safer to have it. But so now, did we have to purchase right of way?
Nope, that was part of the original plot for the apartments.
Okay.
It's right north of Sylvan. So it's just if you turn on Almira from Sylvan. That's where that is. And Nick and I walked this pretty recently. It is a low income community. They do use the parking. I know we're going to result in a net loss of parking.
Sure.
So I think you all felt that it was important to minimize that as much as possible as well. And one thing that I've appreciated is your engagement with the property management. Okay? That's a real well-run piece of property. At least it appears to be. The community feels it is. So anyway, this is one of those things I think that with older property out of the mainstream, have to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Just a quick technical question on, sorry if you throw it back up again.
Absolutely.
It's the accessible space. So folks are backing in and someone's driving, so they won't be on the side that has extra space. Or they'd be if they were number one. I guess why number 10 instead of number one? Sorry to dive in the weeds.
So
That's good.
I could be misspeaking here, but I believe the reasoning is the buffer space is supposed to be on the passenger side for the accessible parking. So that's why you can see we've got the buffered area here, and we've got a ramp here that actually ties into the path.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more if somebody was driving somebody else who needed to get in and out with a full wheelchair.
Correct.
Yes, okay, correct.
So then I noticed up on Spruce Avenue, we have the same thing going on. Would we have to do another resolution for that specific area?
So we are, so
There
the
and-
project's not touching the parking lots through, so
You-
we're tying in, you've got some, I think some bump outs there. Parking's not impacted.
Yeah, I understand that, but for each section that we, modify the parking, we have to do a separate resolution?
Only if we're including angle parking. So if we're doing parallel parking, that doesn't require a resolution.
Okay, but if that got changed,
If that got changed to parallel parking, it wouldn't require a resolution. If it got changed to some other type of angle.
We could look at the VMC and see if we wanna, maybe somebody was afraid of backing up and that was written.
Yeah, and it's any,
That's
it's
why it
not
was
just
written
back
out.
in, it's
Yeah.
any angle parking. So even if it was headed angle parking, it's still.
That seems
required.
odd though, like,
But the state law requires the resolution from the council as well. We can't just
Oh.
eliminate
all
it.
right.
for all angle parking?
But that's what I got out of the packet in your presentation. Yeah.
It's the WAC 308-330, the model traffic ordinance.
Yeah, the whack. Perhaps the straight on parking lobbyist organization wanted.
Yeah, I know, it seems like a
A lot of money to lobby.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's best not to think about why things are and just
Right.
deal with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
All right, any other questions? How do we want to treat this item?
Consent?
Consent.
Okay, Mr. Ataie, you're here for the next one as well, as you know. And that is the local program state funding agreement with WSDOT for the 6th Street Active Transportation Project.
Pull up that presentation. So this is acceptance of grant funding for the State Active Transportation Project. This is also a public committee on August 18th. Just a quick summary. So as you're probably aware, we received grant funding or were offered grant funding through the WSDOT's pedestrian bicycle program. The benefits of this specific grant program is that state funding does not require any local match. So they're both great things for local agencies. I've got a timeline showing kind of the process. We submitted, the key thing here is we submitted our application, our updated application to WSDOT in the fall of 2024. This was prior to our first open house for the project. So one of the things that is specific to these grants from WSDOT is they require a specific defined scope of work. Obviously, as they're evaluating all the applications that come in from the agencies, they want to be able to know that their dollars are going to the best uses. We actually met with WSDOT on site and kind of explained to them the process where we're looking at alternatives, and we developed a scope for this project that allows us a lot of flexibility in what we're going to be ultimately constructing. As with any WSDOT grant, we have to go through them if we make modifications to the scope. We did this for View Ridge, same thing. The scope had on-street bike lanes. We went to the public and said, hey, there's an opportunity to, have a lower stress bike facility, and we went with a shared use path, and we coordinated with WSDOT. That scope changed. Key thing to note here is WSDOT, cannot provide additional grant funding beyond the order amount. So, we have an open house coming up later this month. So if we end up moving forward with options that end up exceeding the grant amount, then that would be, for us to figure out how to cover that cost. So I know Councilor Roblowski, you had a question about what the scope was in the packet, but I kind of have some bullet points here of what's listed. And it's really general. And I think when the public sees what we're going to present in this month, the key thing that WSDOT told us is that they have no issue, modifying the scope of anything that's going to further enhance pedestrian and bicycle safety, right? So if we committed to state that we were going to have, RFB crossings, and we came back and said, yeah, we're not going to do RFB crossings, then they might have some concern there. But, a lot of the things that we've heard from the public that, we're going to be evaluating are things to further enhance the pedestrian bicycle components of the project. So again, it's the roadway reconfiguration, right? What does that mean? Right, it's very vague. Separated bike lanes west of Montgomery, bike lanes east Montgomery, green pavement markings, RFBs, and some traffic signal modifications. Those are kind of the key components of the scope. The way that funding was provided, it was only for right-of-way and construction phases of the project. You see the dollar amounts down there, the 50,000 for right-of-way and the 3.1 million for construction. Those were estimated at the time of grant application submission, obviously including contingencies and staff time and, any construction management support might need for the project. So it's kind of up to us to figure out how to best utilize those funds. Always flexibility. If, say we need more right-of-way funding, well, we can move that from construction funding and work with WSDOT to move some of the money around, but it's specific to the right-of-way and construction phase of the project. And then just finally, I just want to do a plug for the open house, Tuesday, September 30th, here on the first floor at Home Dick. So hope to see everyone there, and we'll have some great updates, and we'll have a opportunity for input following the meeting. But with that, I'm happy to answer any specific questions on this acceptance of grant funds. Oh, and I guess one other thing. So this council action is basically allowing the mayor to execute a funding agreement with WSDOT once we're ready to start a right-of-way phase, if we have a right-of-way phase, right? So there is, we want to be as expeditious as possible to keep the project moving forward. Obviously, if there's any, concern about accepting the grant before the open house, I mean, obviously, I'm not sure what the concern would be, but we do have some flexibility there. I'm not sure if it really is going to impact anything, but that is always an option as well. So again, from a staff standpoint, we just like to have everything ready to go, just knowing that processes can take time.
Okay, questions? Jane?
So if at the open house, if the public wants more enhancements for pedestrian and cyclists and wheelchair users, that's allowable under this grant, as long as we can make it work. It's not to make it faster and easier for vehicular traffic, right?
Correct. So yeah, so WSDOT has told us that, they acknowledge that we're going through a public process. They need enough information to evaluate, all of the grant requests, make recommendations to the state legislature, and then depending on the funding levels, provide recommendations there. So our scope that we develop is what we're considering a baseline scope. We don't anticipate the scope of work not falling into what we've developed. If there are enhancements to bike and ped facilities that we decide to move forward with, that would just be coordination with WSDOT, kind of administratively modifying the project scope. And again, we just wouldn't be offered any additional funding for any additional enhancements on the project.
So this is like a grant that typically cities don't have to do any match, correct?
Correct.
So seeing as the city already did $700,000 to this project, is there any leeway for WSDOT to give us add some of that money that we already spent onto the grant?
No, because they've already, again, this is through the state legislature. So, I don't know how many projects were awarded or offered award funds to there. So they have a cap on the budget. So, we can always ask.
Yeah, I'm just asking. I didn't know if it was possible.
I know WSDOT's got, financial challenges as well. So they're trying to manage the funds. They want to make sure that the funds that they award actually get spent, right? So, This was for the 25 to 27 biennium. So, I mean, really in WashDOT's eyes, they want to see us award a construction contract for, I guess it would be like the end of June of 27.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So, and our ability to, spend the funds in the timeline that we say we will, that means something to WashDOT. And I'm sure, it could reflect poorly on us if we, for some reason were to not spend the money within the biennium period.
Okay, and then on here, is Veneta still gonna be signalized?
Yes.
So, okay, so by the time you go through full design, that will be signalized. Do you know when that equipment's gonna be installed?
I know it's been ordered, Shane, but
Just
Anita signal.
Yeah, so, we are anticipating getting the parts signaled, mid-October. And installing it, mid-October, May, the end of November. That's correct.
Alrighty, those are my primary questions right now.
Asked a question. I think it's already been answered. It's not a trick question. I just want to put it out there again so it's super clear. So, if we go to the meeting on the 30th and we looked at what I'm assuming is going to be one of the most expensive things about the project is a fully protected intersection at 6th and Naval. Although the grant award letter talks about paint markings, if that was in budget, or someone came forward with a large donation, or we find other funds, or we decide down the road we have funds for it, accepting these funds does not preclude being able to do the protected intersection. It's just a matter of if we have the funds or not.
Correct. I'm sure WashDOT would love seeing us put in a protected intersection, but they're gonna tell us, I hope you can find some funding to put it in. But yeah, that's, absolutely. I think, and for anyone that's interested, WashDOT, they have a big active transportation program, and they've actually developed a pretty neat guide, a design guide that has it's almost like a toolkit of treatment. So that's what they want us to use when we go these scopes, refuge areas, RFBs, choker islands, traffic calming type elements. So those are the things that when we're applying for grants, we want to try to integrate to, help. Computer needs to restart. Those are the things that they look for and encourage us to, consider for projects.
Okay, perfect. No, we can always go higher, do even more bonded, more protected. This doesn't limit it. It's just a little amount of funds.
Just money.
It's money.
So how do we treat this item?
Consent.
Consent, yeah.
But kudos on going out and getting this money in this grant and that very quick turnaround.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tutton.
it's a formality.
Okay, our last agenda bill briefing. Item A7, ordinance to increase the vehicle license fee for funding transportation improvements. Presenter tonight is our council vice president, Dana Levelowski.
So this is changed more into an information briefing by staff because there were changes to the transportation benefit district that were not clear to a lot of council people. And so this is for some clarification so that the public can understand what the program really is and council before we ask the public to spend more money.
Okay, so the intent is for this to be a discussion item and not put this on the agenda next week.
Correct.
Also, my counterpart, so I think, kind of lead into the discussion of where we were as a TB standalone entity back in 2016, and the transition that took place in 2017.
So I noticed I signed it, so I must have some
I'm
involvement.
the only one who
You're
knew.
part of it, so I'll just start from that, and then Kylie can add, so reference the ordinance. I think in your packet, you'll see the ordinance. So with the 2017, in 2016, the city had the ability to absorb
the governing rights of the TV board. So previously, City of Bremerton, the City of Bremerton Council, and then there is a separate transportation benefit district of Bremerton board. And so different officers, different positions. So we would close a meeting and reopen a meeting, and then there was
It
different.
was almost kind of silly in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
Eric, I don't know if you remember it. People would,
Yeah.
they had different titles. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a board member now.
Yeah.
And then the staff under the ILA that was in place between the city and the Transportation Benefit District, staff had different titles.
Yeah.
The city attorney was board counsel.
The assistant director of finance was the CFO. So it was
So the,
interesting structure.
so in some places, the district had different boundaries than the municipality. So it might be like a corridor or a growth area or something like that. And so it made sense. But then the legislature realized that there were all of these sort of like performative type processes going on and allowed cities that where their boundaries coincided with the district, that the city could assume the board, and you didn't have to continue to do that.
And
kind of thing.
some of the obligations required back in 2016 no longer exist. But one of those, we had to do a separate financial report for the TBD. We had to do actually publish within that and within the resolution, the work plan that needed to be adopted every year by the board. So those things went from a standalone to now part of the city, which the work plan still exists, but in the greater picture of the city. So
Does that mean what you're gonna spend the money on?
yes, so
Okay.
so if we looked at sort of highly of the last report that was issued, there was 3 items on the work plan for TBD, and they called out. And this internal, this external with the budget about $400,000. That was a lot. It's very, very simple. And working with the street operations manager and the director at the time, that's what they would provide. What we do today is as part of the overall budget. So when we do the budget presentation, Public Works does their night, long evening of Public Works. And in that, they talk about the street division's work plan. So I have like the actual 25-26 presentation up on my computer that shows their work plan of what they are going to accomplish in streets as a whole. And part of that has the component. Decisions of the previous councils and to today established 4 FTEs that were tied to residential street funding. So those 4 FTEs take up about $553,000 of the $600,000 that we collect for TBD. And then there's other things we do in residential as we approve the work plan. There's curb cuts, curb and gutters, some paving, some street restoration, chip seal that exceeds the $600,000. So the work plan is presented as a whole. So I don't
And those are road crew folks?
Road crew folks, yes. Yeah, so we have, in the street crew, I think, you left me. Ron was here. In the street, we have 9 FTEs in the street crew. So of those, they work on everything from residential to the other word that we use all the time, but other roads. It's the work plan as a whole. So without sharing it, this slide is presented in budget. You can see the street division work plan. And of that, it talks about what they're going to accomplish overall with their street crew. 1 lane mile. I'll read some of it, maybe it'll kind of recollect kind of what they presented. 15 ramps, $100,000 of trip hazard sidewalk planing. We have sidewalk repair and infill, 1,500 of sidewalk. Preservation, so chip seal, slurry seal. They want to do 5 lane miles and overlay 1 lane mile of overlay.
So if we doubled it, they could do twice that amount.
I think there's ways that, with having discussing with Ron what's available and with Chance is still in the room.
Yeah.
We're looking at what can they do? What can they do with additional funds without adding staff with their existing crew and the existing things that the council has purchased, including tonight with the F-750 on the consent agenda that has things with the cement mixture. We have a paver that along the way that the city has purchased. There's opportunity to do things. So what can they do with that money? So, but without getting into too much what they could do in the future with it, trying to provide that history. So within the council that approved the budget, we have $600,000 that lives in transportation capital that is restricted for residential use only per the ordinance. It has to be used for residential streets. And of that, we have 4 FTEs that are tied to residential, and those funds support those FTEs. It's $553,000. If you do the math, there's $47,000 left to do some stuff. So we're And those crews they're doing work. They're doing the sidewalk work you see out there, conversations about what else they could do.
But again, so Jane, you're telling me no, but I'm not hearing Mike tell me why, if we want to double this, why can't we hire 4 additional road crew?
Oh.
Crew?
Yeah, I mean, we need for them to really be
This
more
is a council
efficient.
priority.
To be more efficient, they need at least 2 more people because now you have to have bigger crews. So in order for him to split the crews, they need 2 more FTEs.
So
And
that's not
and-
possible, or,
There's conversations of how you would want to utilize dollars. So currently, just the existing plan, as we know from, I think James got some requests from 2012 to now, what things cost. So those dollars don't go as far as they used to. So where we spend more than $600,000 a year in the street. So we know we have a general fund.
and yet we don't spend enough.
It's that we don't spend enough. So it's the will of council, what would you like to do? There's $1 million that goes from the general fund that goes directly into streets to subsidize streets. So is there an ability to relieve some of that general fund impact with some new money? Potentially. So that's a conversation that needs to take place with council and what the role of council is.
Once we know what we're really facing in the coming months and, right.
Yeah.
But until we know what we're facing, Mike, I'm saying if if staff isn't coming to us and saying, we've got a problem, we're facing a deficit, we're, show us the depth of the looming problem, and then I'll stop saying, let's hire 4 more road crew. But until I see or hear that, I'm operating under, everything's fine.
yeah, part of the issue that I don't understand is we talked about this in, I want to say, December of 24, and staff put together a nice presentation and said, okay, if we have this extra money, we can do A, B, C, and D. And they brought it to the Public Works Department committee, and then they were told that they couldn't bring it to council as a whole because there was fear that it would have required that they hire 2 more FTEs. So then it just kind of went away, and we know, especially people on the Public Works Committee, because we get complaints all the time, that we need more work done on our residential streets. And there's been a big debate within Public Works of, is it residential streets or is it streets that residents live on? Well, you can get, I'm serious, that has been like a fight a lot. There's grant funding available for arterial roads that residents live on, but there really isn't any grant funding that I'm aware of for residential streets. So this is how we would fund it. But I'm concerned because, there's been ordinances and resolutions to modify the transportation benefit district. But it's not easy for council to find, and it certainly isn't easy for the public to find. So I want more information made available to both council and the public before we even decide to take a vote, yes or no, because it is a council decision. And I don't want to just say, yeah, let's increase everybody's car tab by $20 extra.
So Kylie, I think our reason to be here is to take what would you like to see? What information do you need to be informed to move forward?
This is such high impact investment, Mike. I mean, I think those of us on Public Works look at our street crew and see the work that they are able to accomplish with the minimal amount of investment. I mean, for us to be going, yay, cement mixer, that's a part of that. That's a part of that. And so this is $600,000. I mean, Mike, we're not talking that much money, but it could make an incredible amount of difference to our constituents, hearing that we doubled, you know, we listened to you, we're gonna do something about it. Yeah, it's only 600 grand. I think the other challenge we have is when we don't link specific levies or transportation benefit district or whatever, when we don't link that money specifically into a project somehow in our budget, people are gonna suspect it.
Sure, and I want to say that.
I don't necessarily, you know, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Sure, and I think that the council can, you know, shift in how you want the information on TBD, you know, reported out. I mean, if that's how you want, if you want it separated out and not in an overall, you know, streets division work plan and not as a standalone. So that
Oh,
it
I
can-
like the work plan.
No, I know, but as also a separate document that shows specifically where our tab money collections is specifically going, so that if someone is only interested in that piece of information, that they can get it like they used to be able to.
It's a
do.
line item.
Right, well,
Well,
it's a report.
And it already is. So
Okay.
But it's
information
not
there,
identified as
Okay.
such.
Right.
So the
Okay.
public wants to know, it's, what's the best way to get it out
You
there?
can get,
If I
yeah.
drive through other cities and I see a transportation project, and then there's signs on the side of the road, says, fund by your car.
Yes,
That's one way
That's
of
one way to
doing
get
it.
it.
we like those. things.
So it's, the information is presented in budget, presented in workshops. We don't have, they also, and I don't, so forgive me, I don't work in transportation, so to speak to like what they can do, that's not what I have here to go to this point. But looking at chances, being a director is knowing on their transportation sites, they have construction projects and we can list sources. What source of revenue are they using for those projects? They're there. The information's there. They just haven't, is to bridge that gap, step to say, that was your target. And so, as I'm telling you, like, where that dollars are going is for the 4 authorized entities that the council hired with those monies. So what are those crews doing? Really, that's a 600 grand that we charge. What are they doing? What's their work plan? It's
Well, I
here.
think we've been so impressed with them
Yeah.
in Public
Yeah.
Works. We
They-
really have.
Exactly.
The streets is
Council
the best
tell you.
investment we have.
We never find, we never ask, you know, it's just like, go team. Especially in the winter, but even, you know, when they're using the good weather to do repairs, you know, it's just, for me, it's the baby CEO. I know I haven't managed a huge budget, but the little CEO in me says, this is high impact money, man. And if we don't go after it, the county's gonna go after it, and then we're not gonna have the $600,000. So I do think we need to make a good case. I think I verbally could make the case that you presented, and that work plan is a big part of it. All we have to say is, you know, verify that we could double the capacity. You know, or even if we said we could, you know, we could increase it by X%, I think it would resonate with people.
Well, I don't see how it could actually.
Hang on, so we got Michael and then Jennifer and then we'll go home.
Thank you.
Michael.
So, over my time here, this has been brought up many times, and sometimes to solve different problems. And I would like us to have a little bit of a discussion. I support residential streets. I think it's probably the way to go, but I'd like us to have a little bit of maybe some information about what other options are. And then obviously we want to hear what Public Works can do with it, whether they hire and put to it. One thing that concerns me, you know, it was good to hear that we hired these 4 folks or team, but we were probably doing some residential street work years leading up to this.
No,
None at all.
so I was here.
Hardly
Okay.
anything.
So, and you used to work for the city, so I remember researching when we did the car tabs in the first place. So the city basically had sold off its equipment, or it was too old, or whatever.
2008.
We weren't doing lane miles
So
at
we're
all. We
contracting
weren't
all
doing
that.
anything. And so this TBD allowed us to start building the program up again.
All right, so then the other issue though is like, so right now, we're running this program with some of the funds from this, and we're putting in some general fund funds. So I would like to see that we don't, if we get these funds, we don't not still put in something from the city budget. So let's just, you know what I mean? Like, there's a classic thing with lottery winnings. Like everyone's like, it's going to go to education.
Yeah.
What they do is the state will pull education dollars that were previously going to schools because now they're getting the lottery receipts and things like that. So I want to like, if we can increase, by an amount, I want to see us do it. I understand that our budget fluctuates a little bit, but I want the intent to be that this really just kicks it up. And we don't just kind of remove what we've been putting in and use this as a backfill. And then down the road, we're in the same place that we're at.
Okay, anything about the next question? That was the comment I made. So if you could levy another 600,000 from the council could say we want 600,000 to go. And I think Denise made a good point. She'd like to know what the city or what financial stresses are. Because my proposal is that you would consider, do you offset some of that general fund that's going in there to put some back to the general fund, knowing the impacts in the general fund? I'll tell you, you approved a $5.1 million deficit. So there's your answer. You don't have enough money to sustain full capacity, full everything that the council is wanting us to achieve. So just again, what that looks like, just to entertain that would be from a pragmatic, practical standpoint. I'd say you would leave 200,000 back, remove that 200 million, so 800,000 now still comes to the streets, and 400,000 is the new money to do new stuff.
Yeah,
that's just basic numbers. I'm not saying that's what the council needs to do, but I would ask that's considered as we discussed with, we have an interim director that's taking a look. They've really taken a look at what we're doing. And sitting with our new street operations manager, Ron, who's been here for, didn't like forever, but about a year. So when Ron has an approach, I know they're out paving today. It's, where's their approach? What can they do with, let's just say 600. What could they do with additional 600,000? Said with Chance real quick, he thinks we could probably do $600,000 worth of work, maybe not with an FTE ad, because we have 9 FTEs, we don't have 4. When the conversation took place of we can't do this without additional bodies, we hired some of those bodies. We started with 4 FTEs in the street crew, and then we got to 6, then we got to 7, then we got to, I believe it's
but also if they're paid to do street crew work,
yes,
then we need to make sure they have enough work in front of them to do it, and we're not.
So that's a conversation with Public Works, not us.
I was looking at Chance.
So there you go. So and
They look alike.
so those are things we're looking at. How we, where's the efficiencies lie? And again, Eric talked about some of the equipment we got rid of, and I mentioned some things have gotten back. Can we do things that we weren't doing? Can we do, there's opportunity.
Okay, Jennifer?
Hey, thank you. Okay. So I want to just kind of understand this a little bit more. And what my question is really is, so rather than, here's my question or my wondering, do we have the ability to do car tab increases based on the valuation of a vehicle rather than a flat? Okay.
No.
Are you all aware of why Washington was considered the most regressively taxed state in the union? Part of it has to do with the lack of income tax, which is based on how much you earn. And that's the primary reason that we were considered the most progressively taxed state in the union. There's other reasons, but I'm concerned about that because this is essentially a flat tax. It's a tax that essentially affects our low income residents at a greater degree than it affects our higher income residents. And so I just wanted to know if there was any middle ground that we could find. And because I'm not willing to vote for this just based on, the county's going to snag it before we are. Maybe there's a reason the county hasn't done it as well. Maybe they also recognize that this is maybe inequitable for our residents. So I feel uncomfortable about it for that particular reason. And I just wanted to know if we could have a discussion about that, or if nobody cares about poor people paying more for their car tabs.
So to build on that question, what are other options? Is it just the sales tax increase? Can the council do a councilmatic sales tax? There's no other
There's
option.
no other cosmetic option. You go for a sales tax.
Okay.
And I did have asked Kylie about a year ago, and she said that unlike if you're running a red light and you get a ticket, if you're low income, you pay half the price. State of Washington, car tabs,
Right.
everybody pays the same.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess, doesn't that make anybody feel uneasy? I mean, because I'm just coming from the perspective of having been poor, and at times I couldn't afford, I got a suspended license because I couldn't afford to pay a traffic ticket. So my license was suspended. I don't think that they do that anymore. I think that, I don't think so. But little things, not being able to afford car insurance, but needing to get to your job on a Sunday, so you have to drive. I mean, just little tiny expenses add up to poor people. And it was such a struggle. I mean, when I go to my recovery meetings with other people, we celebrate when people say, I have car insurance, I've got my license back. We celebrate those kinds of things, and every little expense adds up to poor folks. And so I'm uncomfortable about it for that very reason, because I don't see a way that we can tax people that can afford to pay it at a different rate than people who can't afford as much. That's all. I mean, I think you know where I stand with this, and I hope that you just take it to heart. And don't think that these aren't just like empty words. These are real live people that $20 is going to be a big deal for them. So thanks.
Other comments, so we're coming up with things for Kylie and Mike to research to help
Jeff,
you
did
with
you
your
already go?
decision process.
Yeah, no, so I really do want to prioritize the transparency, and it does seem like we lost a bit of that when the city incorporated the TBD into the city. And I don't have to figure it out right now, but I'm going through the 25-26 budget. I can't find in there where it's really pieced out.
It doesn't carve it in a way that shows this is your residential money. This is the overall work plan that gets folded in the presentation. If I go through the budget the slides presentation that you see that was to the public that Tom and I did last year. I'm looking to grab another slide. There's a component slide in there that was presented that has residential versus classified funding, and there's pie charts talking about planning, major maintenance, and capital, and it showed that to the council in the public last year. They're embedded in the slide. As you go into the budget, it is embedded and folded in. That we don't have residential streets fund as part of the transportation capital fund where those dollars go. The staff exists in the transportation, the street fund, the operating fund. They receive revenue from TransCap to fund them.
So nowhere in revenue is there a separate line item that says this is the TBD fund.
There is that.
Yes,
Okay.
you have
Okay.
you have a direct line item for revenue, and then we restrict the fund balance.
But I can't
in
find.
TransCap for
Doesn't
what is
fold back
balanced.
into general fund.
Okay.
It's spent.
Okay,
It stays-
okay.
It's in a special revenue fund section of capital fund.
So it is possible to spit out a report on that?
I can always show you what the fund balance is. Every year it's in our annual report, shows restricted fund balance for.
Is it tied to expenses at all?
The expense, how the fund balance remains tied to expense, how we calculate it. So we track everything by project. We have project
Right.
funds that are for residential streets. So the residential street projects are numbered a certain way. The reporting's there. It's just we don't regurgitate that out and put it in.
And it's not tied really in the budget to those expense items?
It ties within the work plan.
Right.
Work plan. Because what happens when they do chip seal projects?
Right.
You award to, I don't know who the contractor is, forgive me. When you award to that contractor to go do chip seal or slurry seal, they don't just do residential streets. You're awarding a contract that has residential in it and has some, the other one. I don't know what.
Arterial.
Yes, arterial streets. They're both in that contract, and then we take that contract and we figure out which are which, and that's how we bill and charge. So, but that contract's awarded and it's all part of the plan. It's gonna make us more efficient. Tom was sitting here saying, it's more efficient. If you were to do one contract for this and this, it got very, very bifurcated and difficult to operate. And so the council had freed that up and rolled the residential street fund into transportation capital to do a multitude of work and allow the crews to do everything, a little bit of everything. It wasn't so bucket to bucket, but we do track the dollars, what the fund are, how much money is sitting there from TBD. We line item the revenue man. So we run projects for the expenses out that are transportation dollars.
That being said, though, if the council wanted to go back to having a more detailed,
Yeah, we come up with a way to generate it and just, and
and
provide
that
a
way there
report.
could be a
Could be the finance
report
committee. It
that
could be,
says that, or you know, like a page in the, on the website or something like that, that shows, you know, where your car taps are.
I think,
So that's certainly something that can be done.
my question is, does the council want the information or we want it more readily available to the public? Two different things.
I'm coming from the perspective of public because I'm looking at Walla Walla has a really nice webpage on their TBD and it goes back 10 years of funds. It outlines how much came from TBD and if other funds were contributed, how many miles they've done, and it has a nice roadmap to it. Some other similar cities, even small ones, like 3,000 people, have a nice little summary.
I think it's really important. If we're gonna ask people to pay more, we have to tell them what they've been paying for in the past.
So from my perspective, and I haven't looked at the Walla Walla one, but I think that's an excellent idea. Mike, if you could look at what they did, and if it's not too heavy a lift, I assume it wouldn't be, kind of replicate what Walla Walla did, going back how many years, I don't know, whatever is reasonable, and then presenting that to the entire council. I think at this point, it's not a finance committee thing, it's bring it to the council, show us what this looks like, and then we can go from there.
As I asked before, you know, this council, knows we're gonna be up against some tough decisions. Some of us probably feel it a little bit more keenly than others. I appreciate the pushback you gave us in acknowledging that, and also in saying, maybe, you know, we can do both. You know, I'm an and girl, so we can fund additional, road, you know, restoration or whatever, repair, and cushion, you know, the general fund as well. I like that. I think that's a good compromise, right? But I do have to say, as we're looking, Bremerton doesn't have enough money to run the city, and so we're going to have some tough decisions. And if we can't get through a $600,000 vehicle tab, then we're not going to get any kind of tax increase or anything. So this is like, I understand the challenges, I really do. Single mom as well, you know, and all of that, I do. But we have to find some funding, and this is just it's so perfect because it connects so well. To me, it connects so cleanly with what it would be used for, and it makes such a difference in people's lives. So to me, it's high impact. This to me is practice for how we make the case that this city's got to get more money. We really do. So this is just our practice session.
After we have that information put together so that the public can look at it, of course, council will be looking at it. In Public Works Committee, a lot of members have pointed out things that they would like to see increased, like low cost traffic calming, because that's like the #1 complaint we get. So after we can show the public what we have been spending on it, then I would like council to put together a list of things that we would like to be additional work. And one thing, like I've worked in lots of cities, and most of them, all of them, had specific, taxing authority for transportation. And our crews just used to bring out an A-frame sign saying this project's being funded by transportation benefit dollars or something, just to get the public aware of where some of their money is
Like
being
the
spent.
Climate Commitment Act funding that was requirement by
Mhm.
WSDOT.
Right,
Mhm.
but this is like, that's a stamp on a plan. This is a little sign when somebody's driving by, seeing the crews putting in ADA ramps or
Federal projects, yeah.
paving, because we're looking at small projects, no consultant projects at all.
Our
I
crew
wrote
does
it into
great
the
work.
ordinance for you.
Our crews do the best work.
No, I mean, our crews, they do great work for so much less than anybody that we've ever hired, so.
I can piggyback off that. The public doesn't need to know what it's been spent on. And then kind of hearing two possible things. One is, hey, it can be spent on this wide range of things. It can be in traffic calming, the usual chip seal paving. I feel like there should be somewhat of a concrete plan brought forward by administration on this is what we're proposing to spend it on. There may be some options and the public can weigh in. Because I think there needs to be a clear case made on, this isn't gonna all go and pave all of Manette. We're talking not gonna all pave one part of the city, right? Where's the tied into the work plan, what it would be able to achieve?
I think that work plan document is great. If that could be enhanced with what, on top of that, what we would be able to do.
Well, the
With
presentation
additional
that
funding.
they did for us at Public Works
Yeah.
Committee was great.
Yeah.
It's like, if we have
Yeah.
X amount of dollars, we can do this much more work.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
that's, I think you're hearing
Yeah.
that from council.
The clear,
What else? Oh, go ahead.
I'll be direct about something. If mayor or staff authorized to bring that forward to council. There was concerns earlier whether staff were allowed to present that or not to council. I wanted to clear that up.
That was what, Director Ducky had told us at a meeting,
At a
so.
meeting.
The mayor or staff good to bring that forward?
Additional work plan, what potential is for car tab added on?
Yes, they had put together a really nice presentation over a year ago about if we had the additional $20 per vehicle per year, we could accomplish A, B, C, and D. It wasn't like on
This
It
street.
on this street.
Right.
It was we can accomplish this much more, and it was really clear.
Yeah, I think it's already done.
Yeah, it just needs a little updating.
And maybe add a little context on that plan and the iteration, what happened there, because there was that in there, and it was done within the transportation back here. And so it was like, well, that might not be the proposal. We don't want to get to go out there. We're not recommending it at this time because of other things. So that was reason to hold it back. But we all kind of got to look at it. It got moved pretty quick, and it was a really great. I saw pieces of it, and so that's why I think the pause was, whoa, we gotta let's make sure we're getting all the options. Maybe that is one option if you're gonna do 6, but like I said, is there a give and take option? So yeah, I think all those pieces are right there. If they have 9 members, I think it's that should be up this point.
No, if you like the
Yeah.
presentation, you've already
Yeah.
seen it, just bring it back.
Yeah, we might just modify.
Well,
some, so.
I mean, there's other things that have been bubbling to the surface, like hopefully next week we get to see the draft traffic calming plan, because that's something we really, it's on the agenda for next week, so Shev's
You
is,
want some info on that?
I do want some,
Give you an update.
And that is not out.
but
of-
not today, but anyway, there'd be other things besides what was on that original list. And I do want input from staff, because they've told me multiple times that part of the problem is they need 1 or 2 more people in order to break the crew into 2 different crews to be more efficient, because now you've got a lot more traffic control and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yes, I've heard that. And I know Ron said some things to restructure, so things might have changed from that point.
From that
Just need a
conversation, yeah.
refresh, I think. Again, I'm
So I guess
appreciative.
we're saying, we're not necessarily saying no more or no more FTEs. We're saying there might be some additional.
Okay, so go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't see that. So then administration and basically predominant amount of council want to see this proposal, this tax increase to move forward. Am I kind of straw polling this, and administration and predominant amount of council are in agreement on this issue?
I don't know about,
We want
going
information.
forward, we want more information on historically what the money's been
Okay.
used for.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what Eric, so that's what you're requesting historically what it's been used for.
Oh, it's a
Right now,
two-part
we're-
thing.
And forward.
Two.
He's looking for people.
Yeah.
It's historic and a work plan going forward, if they got 600 grand, if there was new money.
We come in and we say under today's conditions, which are uncertain, I think it's been clearly communicated with the adoption of last year's biannual budget and monthly at the finance committee meeting, that we are really, really tightening our belts to maintain what we have. And so then to introduce some analysis that shows what this money could do under today's conditions, when we're just hanging on, we're trying to make it through this. And so I wouldn't want to supplant money that goes away and mislead the public.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Do not want to go there, and any proposal would have to have that in there. I mean,
That's the most
absolutely.
concern I've heard from you, Mayor. So thank you. Thank you for that. But I mean, I'm hearing from you that there is significant concern about our finances and how, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
called fiscal responsibility.
To know. So as we move forward with this, I think that our intention then would be to explore our options and basically we have to invest in the highest impact for our citizens, and what are safety is one of them, and getting around town is not necessarily safe in all parts.
Okay, so I think we're almost done.
It does have one follow-up question, so now we got that piece, but the historical look back that you're asking for, how far do you want me to go back?
Well, that's an interesting question because TBD goes back quite a way.
It does, and I'll say it's been, there's been multiple ways it's been ran. The work plans are very, if I pull show you the work plans, they're very, very basic. It's through line, called us in dollars, the board approved it. So the level of detail, what's going to be informative enough to really say, okay, we did this, actually did this, and actually did this in 2015, 2013.
Well, I think you look back to what we did as a TBD board and
I can provide that.
and then replicate that going forward when you
Okay.
weren't a TBD board. So we're comparing apples and apples.
Like the plans are there. As I'll say, there's some things that have changed over time of how detailed
Yeah.
you've gotten.
I'm not asking you to do this 2 weeks from now.
That's what I
So
said, there's.
Yeah, we have time.
Okay, because it might not take that long. It might take me a lot working with public works to go in and pull what their crews have done, where it's in part draft, maybe, so I don't know yet. Just say they could take time.
let me know if it becomes too onerous a project.
So, I don't believe it will, but I'd like to just cost.
Jennifer?
And I don't want to beleaguer this. I mean, I am very curious though. I mean, I think that there's been some on and off projections about recessions, and we can already kind of see the effect of recession on our budget and whether it's, we're not managing it right or it's a recession and what have you. I'm just curious how, if we can, I want to know what that looks like. I want to know what the recession projections actually are. Because that also ties into, if our citizens are going to be experiencing recession. And so I would love some recession projections as best you can. We can't really predict these things, we know, but I would love a discussion on that as well.
Just to answer something real fast.
Go ahead.
So and Jake Jordan came out and said, said there's no recession. They said, no, there's no predicted recession. Another big house came out and said, we're in a recession. So I don't know what that means to say, we know what we have, what we're facing, we know what the expenses are, we know what the projected revenues are within reason, and we know what that gap looks like. So I would say that alone shows, you know, without new money, new tag and Denise at this table, mentioned, without new dollars infusing in, there's only so much growth in the city. And so we've been briefing, the finance committee on
Right.
costs, of things that are coming up in the finance committee. Look at our jail cost contracts that went up significantly, hundreds of percent. We looked at our WCA contract that is up 222% over 5 years. We're looking at $3.6 million insurance costs to the city, and that is just still continuing to go up. We've got a presentation from WSDOT saying why. We continue to see those costs. We have our labor contracts that we've seen because it's market driven. So those costs continue to grow, not at the same rate.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, I thought it was hilarious. We were at, what were we at? Was it KRCC, Jeff, when they talked about the lipstick and shorts to determine our unemployment rate? Was that what it was? We don't have like a lipstick and shorts predictor model for that? No? I don't know. Okay.
That's not
It
even.
has to do with people buying, they use like feel good smaller purchases during.
Right.
Banana security.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I can pull some of the things I look at, like the jobs report, new jobs report just came out, showed, you know, they were this much short of what projections were back in when they first came in the first quarter. So some of the things, and those things we kind of look at in finance committee, we look at what monthly, how we're doing.
Well, and a lot of the businesses they're not changing their prices yet with the tariffs.
And so we're
But
watching
that's
that.
gonna be,
Everybody believes that's coming. They thought it would be here. It hasn't hit. So
takes a lot of money to change your
So
prices.
the reason for it to come up now is before we head into mid-biannual budget adjustment, in October here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're right on the, you know,
This is really tied back to Jennifer's comment. This is the reason I'll be blunt, this is the reason that mayor and administration should be looking at it now to bring forward a proposal as part of a balanced budget if they support it.
Okay,
Thank you.
real chance, we were done here, but go ahead.
Go ahead, if you're gonna keep us.
I have been working with the operations manager Ron with the idea about paving, his staff, working on some of our utility projects and then coordinating some of the work that the street department can do to support the utilities, trying to, you know, bolster that workload. And I think that we're coming up with some pretty good ideas. We don't have anything really to share yet. But I know that we are currently paving Cascade Trail. It's looking beautiful. It's beautiful section we're on. So because we now have the equipment, we have the staff, we basically went in and rubberized it all over, just, you know. We're looking at a full width, which is about 50 feet wide, several 100 feet long, 600 to be close. That's a pretty significant road. It's way bigger than it needed to be, but you'll see some beautiful pavement down there. Our guys do good work. It's gonna cost us probably about $80,000 for that, which is about a half a lane mile by itself. Plus they're doing the West Belfer Valley Road, they did out there, by the golf course, repaving some of that. Now that was just an overhaul, but Cascade Trail was a complete rebuild, so it's not on the classified list. It doesn't, those roads don't have any, because they're pretty much rubble. So I think that there's an opportunity to do a lot more of that. And I think we can get several miles a year.
Good.
Way beyond.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, so that concludes the agenda bill briefings.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
I wrote down wall.
That's all you wrote
That was
down?
my takeaway.
Now,
Use your picture of an onion, it's a, that's visual notes.
unless we,
I did get a little
it's, we've been an hour and a half in the meeting. Do you want to take a 10-minute break? Or you want to-
Sure.
Yeah, let's take a 10-minute break. It's 6:35. We'll come back at 6:45.
Okay. Thanks for dinner.
Okay, we're back in session. Now we're going to go to general council business and we'll start off with public safety committee briefing. Our chair is Mr. Goodnow.
So nothing really to report tonight. In fact, we actually had no agenda items. We did just catch up a little bit, but there's nothing to report on.
Okay.
Its way.
No worries.
Kylie did Kylie and Gary Hersey did a great presentation though on alternative jail alternatives, since we're spending so much on jail services. So good to know that we use that so much. So thank you for that.
May I ask if that presentation can be shared with the rest of us? I'd love to see how the same presentation, if that's okay. I could always just tune into the public safety committee meeting, but if you.
Yeah, it was a verbal
Yeah,
presentation.
it was kind of off the cuff and.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love more information on that.
Okay.
They could always do that for council too. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's good information for the public
Yeah.
to know.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Other regional or other committee board briefings.
Yeah, Jennifer, Mayor, and I were at KRCC. They had a big FIFA presentation with Kitty Walters and Jessica Combs, some folks who visit Kitsap and some others. So they ran through a new website called statekitsap26.com. That'll be up and direct folks on kind of where to go events wise and trying to get folks to stay over here. The number of different speakers, and we had a robust discussion on it. I think it was acknowledged that with transportation, it's going to be a big challenge and gridlock. There's going to be a big impact to commuters. And so to be ready for that, FIFA and World Cup, which organization are providing handbooks that are coming out every few months. I think I mentioned this from the conference this past summer. Some resource guides for local businesses who aren't officially affiliated on how to work with showing the games, resources for businesses that are, and just some general things for communities. I kind of asked a question about Commissioner Walters if anyone had done a kind of even a back of the envelope rough calculation on the total amount of funding by city and county for extra security, code, staffing in general, and what is expected in terms of increased sales tax, lodging tax. And it sounds like nobody has. There is some possibly potential funding out there, but nothing guaranteed. So I just think council should be, I would still like to see some sort of, especially in tough budget times, what total expenditures the city is looking at to support it, and what we can expect to get from increased revenue, which will be great to have extra business and sales tax. But that was most of that conversation. And then I think the other big update from the meeting, and Jennifer can tell me if I'm missing anything else, a couple little things, but the other big one was the ADU. Again, they have the 6 pre-permitted designs are out there. And 2 updates is Kitsap Builders Association is actually working with companies to have a build it yourself option, so that for one of the ADU designs, you could actually get all the materials delivered to your house, have it permitted, and you build it yourself and get it inspected. So an option of reduced labor for folks who have the skills and abilities. And then they're still working on, with KBA, and KRCC is working with KBA to still get some cost estimates for the buildings. So I brought up that someone in the trades I know asked for a quote on one of the pre-permitted designs and got told like $350,000 or something really huge. And he pushed back and he said, I don't think that's, and they're like, actually, we can come down about 320. He said, never mind. But he has the knowledge and experience to know that was way out of scope. So hopefully KRCC working with KBA will be able to provide at least a range of estimates. So when people look at the pre-permitted designs, they can also see for each one, what cost range am I talking about here?
So what traffic impacts do they think are going to be huge with FIFA? Because FIFA is supposed to be to get local people excited. So they think.
What do you mean what traffic? So there's, I saw in a news report, they're projected 900,000 visitors from outside of Seattle will be here for the FIFA World Cup. 900,000.
Well, I get I-5 and stuff, but Kitsap County?
The discussion I remember was, yeah, it was both I-5 coming up from Tacoma, obviously Route 16 into town if people are driving up and around, and then the ferries themselves to be full. And that will likely pose some significant challenges to folks who commute if they're using those
Okay.
boats on a normal basis too.
All right.
I imagine our hotels will be all booked. They're gonna be overflow.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll see extra traffic in the city too.
They did,
Yeah.
one of the meetings I went to though, the hotels are not going to, at least they said they weren't going to rent out all their rooms long-term to shipyard contractors. They're trying to let them know now that during that time, they're gonna be more open to the public.
Well, if it's anything like Pullman, Washington during a football game and you want to visit there for something else, you'll be paying 3 to 4 times more than the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so hotels should make some money.
Yeah.
During this time. Good on them.
Um,
Okay.
Can I build on that a little bit?
Please.
Okay, all right, so a couple things about the meeting that, so they encouraged us to divert all of our LTAC money to this effort of this, and I said, well, and I made sure to mention, I said, yeah, I said, we're actually doing something different with our LTAC money, I just full disclosure, and so what we're gonna be, they had a really great collective though. They had, and Jeff, and I don't have my notes in front of me, I apologize, I'm just kind of hanging out here by my fan. But there was a collective of Visit Kitsap, Love Kitsap, the Chamber of Commerce. It was a nice collective of people that came together for this initiative. What it also means is that we are in competition with this collective. And so as we move forward thinking about our, we don't have to be in competition. We could find a way to be in tangent with them, right? But as we move forward, we may want to make sure that our new destination management organization is focused on Bremerton in their work, right? Because maybe there's going to be a collective of people that are also affiliated with this Love Kitsap effort. And so I don't want our work to get watered down. I don't want our energy to be watered down with what's going on with Kitsap. I hope that's okay to say in that way, but I feel like you kind of know what I'm saying. And so I also was regarding the new ADUs. They are like the size of a regular house. Have we had a council briefing on the new 1,000-foot square foot units? I don't think we have. It would be of benefit to us to see if we haven't had that presentation from BCD. I would love for council to be briefed on the newer ones. They're really cool, but I don't know if they're going to work on a lot of our lots. I know James mentioned like some of these don't even fit on our narrow lots. Like, what's the benefit to them? So I just want us to have a presentation and not to be negative about it, because they're a really great solution, and to have like pre-made plans and kits that people can buy. I think that's going to be amazing. But I think it would be a benefit for us to have a presentation on all the different options for ADUs for the build your own. All right, thanks. Sorry. Done.
No, good. And I'll let go. I think that the last two, the biggest ones, are not fully ready yet. But when they are, I love that idea of a public presentation, a public meeting, just showing folks off. Hey, these are available.
Yes.
Questions, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And then sort of just to clarify on the last part. No, excellent. Yeah, all those groups were there along with Downtown Bremerton Association. But to clarify for LTAC, it's the DMO would go into effect in the following year for 2027. I think they were saying for the people kicking off LTAC processes now or in our fall
Okay.
here.
So
Community members.
right.
Not
It's
hotels.
not that what we do here in Bremerton is not going to fill beds. What
And
is going
so-
on over Seattle is going to fill beds in Bremerton. So,
Got it.
but there's a committee. I mean, it could, others may disagree, but it's been very clear to me. They've said it. FIFA says it very clearly. This is not a tourism type of situation. This is for your community. So, I would be
Right.
a negative on the LTAC funding for FIFA.
So our LTAC funding is going basically predominantly to a DMO, correct? I mean, that's what we decided.
2027.
Yeah,
So we're
And we
still, then I guess I needed that clarification. I apologize.
there's an RFI, maybe,
RFI.
was it sent to all council, the RFI that went out to the community? But that would be really good. It explains it a lot more.
Yeah, I did read that and I apologize that I'm getting my dates mixed up. I guess my understanding was we were, our focus, even in this coming year, was going to be on Pendergast and destination management.
No.
Not Pendergast.
Okay, so we're still doing the, okay, thank you, appreciate it. So they want us to divert LTAC funds to some of this Love Kitsap stuff then, I don't know. I would love to have a discussion as to what our target is gonna be for this year. So if we can make that something.
But any organization can apply for LTAC funding.
That's right.
They just gotta do the process just like any other organization.
For sure, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Other general council business. So council, we've been invited to participate in the selection process for our HR director. I've been asked to be one of the members. I'm asking for 2 other individuals. The first meeting would be like a meet and greet with Rothman. It was going to be tomorrow. I just found out about this, but now it's going to be Monday afternoon at 4:30. So generally, this process would be to meet with 3 council members with the Rothman representative. It's not going to be the same person. It's not going to be Steve Worthington. It's going to be someone else. And give him or her, actually it's a guy, your impressions of what you're looking for in a public works director. We have the PD
HR
already
director.
written, the HR. We already have the PD written, so we're not going back into that. And I don't know what other questions you have, but I don't think that meeting will take very long. But then, as you know, the recruitment goes out. And so the 3 of us participated on the last one. And after several meetings, I anticipate the council will meet with this person and go over the top candidates and decide who would like to interview. And then give our input to the mayor, who ultimately makes the decision, right? So, but this is a great way to get buy-in, hopefully with the rest of the council. I think it worked good the last time.
Yeah.
So, this is gonna start on Monday. We got 1 other council member is not here. I'm throwing it out. Does anyone else want to be on this committee with me? Michael and Jeff, and then Jane, would you like to be on it? I mean, I can make the decision just after whatever deciding.
I'll be your backup. But if you don't have a full committee.
I'm out of town.
Okay, so then, Jennifer, did you want to be on this?
Well, I think what's been kind of mentioned before is it's helpful to have somebody who has a flexible schedule. And so my schedule isn't as flexible as it used to be last year. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, all right, so I think we have it set then, right? So Monday at 4:30, I think that's the time where we're gonna, you'll get an email from it. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order before we go to the executive session?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jane and then Jeff.
I spoke last week, somebody at Public Recognition, it sounded like Kathy Lustig wanted the city of Bremerton to form a historic district to include Ataie and Ataie. But then I spoke with her during the week, and what she's really looking for is for the city council to write a letter of support to the Board of Commissioners that they entertain the idea of a historic district that covers Ataie and Ataie. And I suggested that she also work with the tribes because most of the artifacts that have already been found are from the native tribes. So I told her I'd put it out there if if other people are interested in sending a letter of support.
I think
The
she needs to
council.
write to us and ask for that, and then we need to respond. It's outside of the city.
I
It's
don't,
outside of the city, but it's in our urban growth area.
right, and I don't know what repercussions are for our urban growth area if we're mandated. I can't say yes or no on that one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to be able to make an informed decision.
Okay.
It would be good to know too, I don't know, Hunter's not here, what, because I know there was leading up to the comp plan, some X years or months in advance, though those could be changed with the urban growth area. So I wonder what can happen now if anything changes, I have to wait for the next comp plan cycle, or can it be changed in between, or if Boncher's able to, Garrett able to kind of get us that, like, what's the rough timeline look like for a change like that?
For the county to
For
remove,
the county, because the county has to be the one to make the decision. So
right,
the county to remove the urban growth area, what's the state law restrictions on when they could do that?
no, it's not to remove it from the
Oh.
urban growth area.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
to send a letter, she wants a letter of support from the city for them the county to consider a historic district to cover.
A small storage district, okay.
Yeah.
Like
No,
Elahi, they're trying to copy Elahi's blueprint, which some of us had suggested to them
Mhm.
if they want, but I'm pretty clear with this. This is not city. This is everything that I've heard about this. The county is trying to figure this out right now. And so there's no issue before the city. Right?
It could be a letter of support that
A letter of support is.
Well, then,
either sign on to as a council or individual council members could sign on to, like a lot of the letters we get.
Mhm.
right, but it's about county business.
I
You can
I would,
wing it county
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
sure, sorry to interrupt. I mean, I would definitely, I think that, I would like, so is this just Kathy Lustig at this point, or what is the actual community that is advocating for this? There was a few people that came out strong before. I think that there's a lot of money that's been donated because I see a lot of flashy signs everywhere, right? But I would like to hear more from the community in support of this. I would totally sign on if we had more than just one person coming to support. We do this all the time. We do other things to say we support this, that, or the other. I would like to hear from more community members.
I'll give her that feedback. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Careful.
suggested she talk with the
Yeah.
tribes first, so.
Hey, Jeff, before we get to your item, Jennifer, so before we go to, when we go to executive session, there's a separate Zoom code. So I want to
I
tell you
got
this
it.
now. Okay, I just want to make sure you could look in your email and make sure you got that, so. Right.
Yeah, I have my authenticator app ready and rolling. But I've got the
Okay.
invitation on my calendar.
Okay, great, thank you. Jeff,
Thank
go ahead.
But back to LTAC, just checking in on the timeline for this year, if we have any dates for applications to go out, and come back in, just.
Christine is working on it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get that out, I think.
We've got some
Jennifer,
dates coming up in
no?
October.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we're just kind of getting the so there's a poll going out to the other community members to see what date works best for them. But we've got some options in October right now for our first meeting, and then applications should be good to go after that.
Has there been any significant change to the application for this year? I don't
No,
think
not
it should
so.
Not that I
be.
know of.
But I was gonna say that, when
And-
you're talking to other folks, I just tell them to start preparing their application, you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, and I know last year was late, and really for people to be able to plan in an ideal situation.
No, yeah,
wrap
no,
up
we're
in October,
we're gonna
on our own
be
budget.
timely.
Yeah.
This is,
Okay.
yeah, we are on time, ready for success and getting things out on time. Christine is ahead of the game on this, so, and I think Ann could probably corroborate this, so Christine's on the ball with it. We're getting it rolling, and what I'll do is I'll get a report so I can come back to you at the next study session and report out on exactly where we're at and give you a timeline. Does that sound good? Or maybe Christine can send us a timeline ahead of time before the
Yeah,
next
sounds
study
great, yeah.
session. You got it. Not a problem.
Michael, if applications can go out soon, especially if they're not changing, then pick a deadline date, and that way folks know they're out there and can start working on them.
I love it. Good idea. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Okay,
I gotcha.
anything else for the good of the order? My last item, just reminder slides are due on Tuesday by noon, okay? Now, in case the public is listening here for tonight, the council will break for executive session that's closed to the public for 15 minutes to discuss pending litigation as allowed under RCW 42.30.110, parentheses 1, parentheses I. After that 15 minutes, we will accept public comments on the item and action voting by the council is anticipated. After the executive session, we will then immediately adjourn the study session and the council will proceed with an exempt closed session to discuss labor negotiations as allowed under the RCW. Okay, with that, we are not adjourning, but we are going to go ahead and break for executive session for 15 minutes.
Go back to the regular meeting.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna take action and then we're gonna go to the break session. Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
No,
Just
go back to, yeah, regular meeting. And then after that, the exempt closed session, we'll have to figure that. Okay. We've concluded executive session. I'm just making sure everything is on. Are on. Could you please summarize action before the council?
Yeah, so the proposed motion is going to be moved to approve the settlement of the lawsuit filed by Joseph Redall in the Western District of Washington, cause number 323 CV 05782 for $400,000, and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute a settlement and release pursuant to these terms as approved by the city attorney. This is a matter that the incident occurred in 2020, I guess, 5 years ago. Involved allegations of excessive force by BPD officers, and this is a settlement.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to ask if there's any members of the public who wish to comment on this item. And I'm going to look at the attendee list to see if I have any hands up. I do not. There's 5 in attendance. I do not see. We do. What? And then he lowered his hand, so I'm going to wait to see if it comes back up again, and it went down again. So he's messing with me, but I will give him another shot. I will look. There's no one in the audience. Okay, now he has his hand up, Mr. Camacho. I'm going to go ahead and click on your hand, and I'm going to allow you to talk. Mr. Camacho, you have the floor, and I see you have a mute on, so you may want to unmute your mic. Okay, go ahead, sir. So I have talking permitted, and it appears that you're able to do so. I don't know what to say. Mr. Camacho, can you hear me? So I have talking permitted.
Hello?
There you go. There we go.
You're on.
You're on. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry for that. I'm quite befuddled not only by the technology, but by the process where there's an executive session and the public is completely in the dark. And then you guys come out of executive session and you describe what has happened. So that's basically my comment. I could not hear Mr. Jetty describe what the settlement was for or what case. I wouldn't mind that information, at least.
Okay, sure.
So
go ahead.
the settlement is for a lawsuit that was filed by Joseph Redall in the Western District of Washington. And the cause number is 323 CV 05782, and it's a settlement of $400,000.
And could you describe that case?
As I say, it's allegations against BPD alleging that there was excessive force, and this is a settlement and release of that case.
And the party's name was Dahl, D-A-H-L?
R-E-D-A-L is the last name.
I appreciate that. That's actually, I feel like if you guys are doing an executive session, something other than saying you will discuss pending litigation, even just one extra iota of information will let the public know whether they need to pay attention or not. For instance, a police department excessive force claim that's being settled, that is actually massively of interest to the public because, as you know, Friends of Smith's Cove and Rock the Block has been accusing the city of police persecution for some time. We literally see it on the street happening. We see the anti-camping ordinance being misused as unauthorized camping for poor people just on the sidewalk with their backpack. That's not camping. So I'm only saying this because I feel there should be something extra than just saying we're going to discuss in secret pending litigation. Why couldn't it be we're going to discuss pending litigation on excessive force? I mean, I don't think that impacts it doesn't impact the city because there's just not, that's not a lot of information, but it lets Rock the Block kind of, it will let the public know whether it is of concern for them or not.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Camacho.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, I do not see any other hands raised. Actually, Ms. Stevens, go ahead. Hang on, I'll go ahead and allow you to talk. And I've allowed you to talk, but it also indicates that your microphone's on mute. So go ahead and unmute your microphone. You have 3 minutes once you proceed talking. Go ahead, Ms. Stevens, whenever you're ready. So you're probably trying to get connected. I'm just letting you know that it says you're on mute. Ms. Stevens, I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds to try to connect. Clearly can see you, but your microphone is crossed out with, and it's red. It's indicating it's mute. Okay, so she's Ms. Stevens is logged in on another one with her hand up. So I will go ahead and click on that, hit allow to talk, and we'll see if she's got that
Yes.
figured. There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being transparent once somebody asked you that this anti-camping ordinance is very unconstitutional. And so this information is very helpful moving forward to see what's happening to people in our community. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Stevens. All right. Okay, I don't see any other hands up. It's been a while, so Jet, could you read the motion once again, please?
Yes, again, the motion is move to approve the settlement of the lawsuit filed by Joseph Reynolds in the Western District of Washington, cause number 323 CV 05782 for $400,000 and authorize the mayor to finalize and execute the settlement and release pursuant to these terms. Approved by the city.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, call for the question.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Poplin,
Yes.
Revelowski,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Younger.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-.
Okay. So immediately, right before I adjourn here, I want to make sure, Councilmember Chamberlain, do you have this code for the exempt closed session?
And let me go back because I was on my calendar. I clicked let me take a look. So which one? I have one that says Brett Jetty Zoom meeting that I tried to go into first. And so then I went into exempt meeting.
Okay, hang on to that one. So when I conclude this one, I'll shut this one down and then please go into that one. So here's a reminder that the next council meeting will be on Wednesday, September 17th, starting at 5:30 p.m. in the first floor meeting chambers of the Norm Dix Government Center. The public is invited to attend in person or remotely, but anyone who would like to speak during public recognition via Zoom must submit the request to the city clerk by calling 360-473-5323 or sending an email to city.clerk@bremertonwa.gov at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. This concludes tonight's regular council business. This meeting is adjourned.